Hello, and thank you for tuning in to today's General Election Forum for County Commission Position Number 3. Today's forum is sponsored by the League of Women Voters and TCTV. The League, as you may know, is a nonprofit, nonpartisan political organization that encourages the informed and active participation of citizens in their government, and the League registers new voters, studies issues, and advocates for those positions it takes on those issues. Despite its name, the League is open to all people who are of voting age. Today's forum, we have two candidates, which I will introduce, and we have a series of questions that they will be responding to. Each candidate will have an opening statement for 2 minutes, and then we will follow with the questions in alternating order. So my candidate on my right is, and your left, is Karen Valenzuela, the incumbent. And on my left and your right is our candidate for position number 3, County Commission, Bud Blake. So I will start with you, Mr. Blake, if you would like to give your opening statement.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to first off thank the League of Women Voters and TCTV for having me here today to be able to present my credentials to the Thurston County people. I start by saying that I was raised in a union family here in Alabama, and then also in a commercial fishing family. The two were part of my life where it set me on my path. However, as a young man, I was stubborn, and I decided to join the military, where I became an enlisted soldier. From there, I joined the officer corps. In doing so, I took on a huge responsibility as an officer, and numerous budgets that range from anywhere from $270 million to $2.2 billion, and that was throughout the world. Happy to say that I've saved many lives, and I brought thousands and thousands of people happiness in terms of building clinics, roads, schools, you pretty much name it, I've been involved with it. When I came back here to Thurston County, however, I made a couple assessments. I saw the mismanagement that's going on. So I went to the people and asked what is it they want to have, and they said instantly it's public safety, which is one of my platforms, my primary one, business and environment, and then infrastructure. So I took to the streets and I started out my campaign, and when I take office here, I'm going to use those three things as far as my success in terms of the budgeting and getting the people what they want.
Thank you very much. Ms. Valenzuela.
Thank you, Eileen, and thanks to the League and to TCTV for this opportunity. So I'm Thurston County Commissioner Karen Valenzuela. I've been your commissioner since early 2009, when Governor Gregoire appointed me to the unexpired term of my predecessor, Commissioner Bob McLeod, who had to resign due to health reasons. When I first came to this office in early 2009, I said I wanted to do 3 things. I wanted to establish impact fees in the county, which had never been done before. Working with my 2 seatmates, we did that. We adopted impact fees in the county to support the roads, schools, and parks that new development require in 2010. I also said I wanted to finish the revision of our long overdue critical area ordinance, and commissioners also did that work. In 2011, we adopted a new, much more progressive critical area ordinance to protect the environment here in Thurston County. And I also said we needed to finish updating our shoreline master program, very important set of regulations that has to do with how close people can and cannot build and develop next to our waterways. That work is still in progress, but along the way we also picked up lots of other very progressive initiatives, including I represented Thurston County on the Sustainable Thurston Task Force for about 2.5 years, which resulted in a plan for greater sustainability in Thurston County. And last year, as chair of the Board of Health, I launched the Thurston Thrives initiative, which is a public health community engagement process. So your commissioners are hard at work for you. I've been serving these last 6 years, and I'm asking for another 4-year term.
Okay, thank you very much. So at the end of the questions, we'll have an opportunity for you both to have your closing statements for about 1 minute each. So we'll begin with your questions, okay? Since you opened, I will start with you, Ms. Valenzuela. The first question is, some would say water rights and the usage of water is the most important natural resource issue for Thurston County. Do you agree? And if so, explain how the county should respond And if you don't agree, what do you think is the most important natural resource issue?
Well, of course, water is essential to life, so without it we can't live. And though Thurston County has nothing to do with the allocation of water rights, that is a state responsibility. As we understand it from our conversations with the Department of Ecology, we are over-allocated for water rights in Thurston County. And what that has to do with Thurston County is, can the development we are approving in Thurston County be supported by adequate water rights? And so I think we have to continue working hand in hand with the Department of Ecology on the issue of whether or not the development we see coming to Thurston County over the next 2 to 3 decades can be supported with adequate water rights.
Okay, Mr. Blake.
Yeah, the way I see it is that there is always a government role in this, but primarily I would say you need to have an ad hoc citizens committee to be able to address those water rights also, from the way that people use and deliver water in terms of life and the way we use it in gardening and what have you. With that, on that citizens committee, I would ensure that there's those who have a voice from hydrology, budgeting, and a whole complement of other people to be able to speak from people's voice. And I would not have it a government-led issue in terms of water rights. At some point in time, the two come together, and that's what I bring to the table in terms of Thurston County leadership. It's inclusive leadership, and so that way, when you build an ordinance, and you don't have to go back and revisit it, or if you break an ordinance, the rules of the ordinance, you already have a well-laid foundation from both the people side and the government side, and the two shall come together, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So, Mr. Blake, controlling growth in the county's undeveloped areas is a current county goal. How successful would you say the county has been in achieving this to date, and have impact fees, in your mind, been helpful?
I would say today that the government Thurston County government has not been very successful. In fact, I'd say it's been a very poor integration and mitigation plan. With that, in the military, we use measures of performance and measures of effectiveness. When I read the plan, I didn't see anything such as that in terms of how my opponent signed a policy saying that growth would happen in the urban growth area by putting the pocket gopher as an issue, as a forcing mechanism that caused a rift between rural residents and now the urban residents. So now we have a little bit of strife, and half of the county is up in arms, and the other half of the county is waiting to see if they're going to be the next target as far as some of the leadership or lack of leadership aspects that my opponents brought to the table. And people understand that that we have a population problem or population growth. However, you can go to them and ask them how they can be a participant in the growth and development of this county and be able to have business and environment mixed together. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Valenzuela?
So county commissioners absolutely believe in both the letter and the spirit of the Growth Management Act. Sustainable Thurston tells us that we're expecting something between 30,000 and 120,000 people in Thurston County over the next 3 decades. So growth is coming. We're a rapidly urbanizing county. Observing the spirit and the letter of the Growth Management Act means that most of that new growth will be focused in our existing urban areas, because we value keeping our rural areas rural and protecting the natural resources supported by our rural areas, and protecting water quality, air quality, and working hand in glove with the federal government on the endangered species that make their home in Thurston County. I'm sure my opponent knows that county commissioners are not in charge of listing threatened and endangered species.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Valenzuela, if you would please describe your personal strengths and experiences, how you will apply them to make you successful, or in your case, how they've made you successful in your current position.
I guess the thing I bring to this office more than anything else, of course, is my leadership experience. Before I became a county commissioner, I was 9 years on the Tumwater City Council and spent 20 years as a public health worker. And in fact, it was that experience as a public health worker that attracted me to the position of county commissioner. County commissioners also serve as your local board of health, and that's a role I cherish as your county commissioner, because safeguarding and improving the health of our community is something I've spent now 30 years working in. So, so leadership experience would be one of the strengths I bring to this office. I also love engaging with our community in problem solving and bringing ourselves to consensus about the kind of community we want to be and hope to become over the next few decades.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. My strength, when you become a officer in the military, you raise your hand for an oath and it means something. However, when you go off to do your duty, we don't look back at the United States or wherever we're at and say, are you a Democrat, are you an independent, are you a Republican? We just go there and we fix the problem, we do what we're supposed to do, and then come home. And of course, we do the same thing at home. We don't really think of people as far as R's, D's, or I's, or anything like that. When I take the oath of the Thurston County Commissioner's office, I intend to do the same thing. The people's problem in the community, or the problem in the community, doesn't have an R or a D or I associated with it. And so I love to get out there and do inclusive leadership. I celebrate our diversity, and I bring the two together to bring the problem set to a final point where you can actually live without any fear or intimidation or reprisal from a government. I think a government should be good governance in the sense of being able to help people foster a healthy, prosperous life, and without being in the way of it. Now, there are certain regulatory things that the government comes in and establishes, but it's there to bring safety and a balance in life. That's what I bring to the table as far as the overall leadership is a balance of life. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Mr. Blake, can county services be maintained, in your opinion, at the current level over the next 4 years? If not, are service cuts inevitable, or are there other sources of revenue that you see available to sustain the current service levels?
The county services, and such as the sheriff's public safety, cannot be sustained right now. It's unsustainable. The sheriff office has received a cut of nearly 5%, which is effective almost 7 to 9 deputy sheriffs. We currently have a jail that's empty because of my opponent's inactions, and so we're currently at anywhere from $46 to $64 million in debt on that. Carrying that on the books doesn't help in terms of also the fire and the police, fire and the Medic One. They tend to do pretty good because they have their own district in terms of living their own monies in that sense, but the two combined have to work off each other, and really strains the system overall. So.
Okay, thank you. Karen.
So, perfect question. Thank you for that. Fiscal sustainability is probably one of the biggest challenges we have at the county. And this isn't peculiar to counties. Cities suffer from this same issue as well. Essentially, the problem is caused by the fact that our revenues grow barely above flat, and our expenditures track more closely with inflation. So you have an expenditure line heading this way with a revenue line heading this way, and the trick of budgeting is always squeezing those two lines back together as best you can. Commissioner's instructions this year to our fellow electeds and department directors were to freeze your 2015 budget proposals to us at your 2014 levels. Much better than our instructions last year, which was we were looking for a $6 million cut to our general fund budget. Nonetheless, freezing budgets amounts to a bit of a cut because it means that your increases for 2015 have to be absorbed at 2014 levels. So I don't think long-term that's particularly sustainable, and I do think we have to have a conversation about revenue.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Ms. Valenzuela, other than the budget and the water issue, What do you expect to be the county's 2 top challenges in the next 4 years, and how will you deal with them?
So I think we have a couple of issues in front of us. I mentioned one of them already. We do need to finish our Shoreline Master Program update. Thurston County is what I call a rim county of Puget Sound, and so along with all of the other rim counties, we definitely share a responsibility for Puget Sound restoration efforts, and we can't really do that work well in the absence of a better set of shoreline regulations. An additional problem, of course, will be the fiscal sustainability that I already mentioned. And then finally, I think the county is on the hook to continue improving our stormwater regulations. Untreated stormwater is identified as the top issue harming Puget Sound, and so we need to step up and do our part to strengthen our stormwater regulations.
Okay, Mr. Blake?
Sure. Without a doubt, it's public safety. The saying goes that if you're secured in your individual or your collective, then you're able to gain a foothold in life and be able to go about not having to worry about any kind of theft or robbery, be it to your personal life or your home or your business. So people want to be secured in their homes and within their own life. And so back to the sheriff's office, it needs to be definitely funded more appropriately. Right now it's going at 1990 standards, and we need to really look at that. Secondly is the business and environment. Those two go hand in hand. One does not get to dominate the other, the environment over the business or the business over the environment. While I'm no smokestack kind of person in terms of the Northwest, certain businesses and industry need to come into Thurston County to give that revenue. At the same time, they need to be open to the environmental issues that are at hand and preserve our state that we have in terms of ecological advance. Lastly is the infrastructure, and so I think those are the key things. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Last question, Mr. Blake. Some folks say the county has land regulations that they unfairly interfere with folks' rights to develop their property as they wish. How do you respond to this claim?
Well, my opponent being an environmental activist, politician more than an elected official in terms of representing the people, when the CAO, the Critical Area Ordinance, was instituted, like I said earlier, there was no measures of performance, no measures of effectiveness in terms of getting the feedback from the, those that live in the unincorporated area. So what it causes is a rift there. And the people have now gone on a part where they cannot feel like they can voice. So you have a lot of dissatisfaction and distrust. And so when the government officials come out to check on the population of the gopher, they automatically have their guard up. That way they do not want the government officials onto the land, come onto the land. Nonetheless, they want to help, but it was never ever measured out in terms of ways that would be seamless and transparent to be able to get to those, the level of what the Critical Area Ordinance is supposed to enact. So they understand that they have to have an obligation and a role to help with the environment, but at the same time, they don't want to give up their property as they've seen and had it for inheritance or retirement purposes, and they want to live and prosper in Thurston County just like anybody else. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Valenzuela.
Could you ask the question again?
Some folks say the county land regulations unfairly interfere with their right to develop their property as they wish. How do you respond to this claim?
Well, people's right to use their property, of course, is a constitutional protection. And so the balance that always must be struck is how does the county work with property owners in order to have the least possible harm done to critical areas on that person's property. The county cannot and would not and does not want to keep people from being able to use their property. But it is our paramount duty to protect critical areas. And so we will always work with property owners, and now we have to take special efforts because of the federal listings of endangered and threatened species in Thurston County.
Okay, thank you very much. Deep breath. That's the end of that period of questioning. Now I'm going to give you each a minute to talk about your specific positions without referencing your opponent. So What I will do is start with you, Ms. Valenzuela, to give your closing statement, make the sale to those voters out there that you're the best candidate. Okay?
Well, again, thank you very much to the League of Women Voters for this opportunity. I'm running on the same issues that I ran on 4 years ago, and I continue to do the same work for you that I've been doing over the last 6 years. I've lived in this community for 25 years and spent 15 of those years now in public office, unlike my opponent, who only very recently permanently settled in this community. I know you, I know the issues that matter to you, I share your values, and I share your vision for the future of Thurston County. Growth is coming. We know that. And the question is, who and what do we want to be in the next 10, 20, and 30 years? I bring solid leadership experience to this position, and I ask for your vote in continuing to be your county commissioner for 4 more years. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Blake, 1 minute.
Yeah, sure. And just to let the audience know, I've been here since 1993. My leadership style is very inclusive. I like to bring people together. I value people's judgment, and I like to listen to people in terms of being able to bring a solution to the issues in this county. I want to be your next Thurston County Commissioner because I do not rely on a special interest group, any kind of extremist kind of group to make my decisions. I do it for the people, and I listen to the people, and I carry out their wish and their desire to prosper here in Thurston County. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you both so much for joining us. I very much appreciate it, and I know the voters will as well. Thank you for sharing your views. We want to thank the audience for joining in today, both in studio as well as you folks at home. Today's forum, again, was brought to you by TCTV and the League of Women Voters. We look forward to seeing you all at the next general election forum, but please do be aware that the next election is November the 4th, so we want you all to get out and vote. Thanks again.